In the dim glow of a quiet corridor, Sungtae gently reassured his weary friend Han, urging that they head to the car before the chill set in. Han demanded to know why Sungtae would summon him back to the very place where he had once been held captive. Sungtae with determined defiance, insisting he would never confine him in a place like this and challenging the very notion of such an accusation. Han stood with anxiety etched across his face as he demanded to know why he was being summoned. Sungtae stated that while Han had been hunting the real culprit, his own innocence was now in doubt. Sungtae reflected that, at times, returning here served as a personal reminder not to forget the emotions once felt. In the dim glow of the stairwell, Han led the way with a stern presence as Sungtae followed behind, tension thickening between them as Han warned that if Sungtae wished to remain in his life, he would have to leave that place, insisting that neither he nor Jintae wanted Sungtae involved any longer. Rain pattered quietly over the city as Sungtae, his gaze unwavering, insisted to Han that no one could truly know a dead person's wishes. Han declared with certainty that Jintae would have shared his feelings. Han, lost in thought, gazed outside. Rain poured over the deserted street as Han, startled and wary, confronted Sungtae with a trembling voice, barely managing to address him through the tension hanging in the air. Under a relentless downpour, Sungtae stood firm with rain streaking his face, his voice unwavering as he reminded his older brother that money was what truly mattered to him. In a darkened room pierced by a single spotlight, Sungtae knelt amidst shadowy figures, his voice heavy with melancholy as he confessed that from the moment he was born, nothing he truly wanted had ever been within reach, and after Han and Jintae left Korea, an aching sense of loneliness became his only companion. On a quiet station platform bathed in melancholy, Han and Jintae walked side by side, each trailing a suitcase, as Sungtae silently admitted his fear that showing his true feelings would drive Han away, leaving his longing unspoken. Under the dim glow, coins tumbled from a model plane as a voice, heavy with regret, Sungtae admitted the longing for enough money to buy a ticket and cross the ocean to reunite. Sungtae confessed to himself and the desperate resolve never to endure such pain again. Han, weary and conflicted, stared downward, his somber voice suggesting that perhaps he could choose a path in life other than that of a reaper. Then, tension crackled in the dim light as Sungtae seized Han by the collar, his serious gaze locking onto the anxious eyes before him while he demanded to know what Han would offer if he decided to quit. In the cold shadows of an industrial space cluttered with scaffolding, Han faced Sungtae with frustration as Han insisted that his only concern was to fulfill his duty as guardian and get Sungtae away from the dangerous cult, dismissing any need for praise. In a tense, dimly lit room, Sungtae stood facing Han, his expression serious as he questioned why such deep resentment was reserved for the immortal amidst a world already rife with shady cults. Against a backdrop of swirling flames and chaos, Han stood rigid, his voice edged with anger as he confessed the torment of knowing someone dear to him was entangled with the cult. Sungtae's calm expression remained steady as he acknowledged Jin Taehyung's name, his tone measured and unhurried. In a room thick with tension, Han seized Sungtae's wrist in a resolute grip, addressing both Jintae and him with a gravity that left no room for defiance. As Sungtae walked away he said he would consider the proposition. Inside the quiet car, evening light casting gentle shadows across the dashboard, Sungtae reached out with trembling sincerity to confess that he cherished their conversations, Han's voice, and the way Han had always worried about him, even from long ago, leaving Han startled by the depth of emotion in the air. Inside a dimly lit car, Han sat tense in the passenger seat, his voice edged with concern as he questioned whether Sungtae intended to keep making him worry. Eyes closed and voice barely above a whisper, he admitted that he only felt sorry for Sungtae carrying such feelings and quietly resolved that it was time to stop intruding on his burdens. Inside the quiet car, Han settled into his seat with a composed smile, his calm confidence evident as he advised that the point should not be forgotten. Just as the calm settled, Han's hand moved swiftly to his pocket, explaining with a hint of urgency that he needed to take a call. Han stared at his smartphone, his breath catching as he realized he had received 20 urgent missed calls from Director Yoon. On a rain-soaked night at a makeshift barricade, Han sat motionless in his white car, tense frustration simmering as he dismissed the insistence of a phone call, convinced there was no point in listening to the same empty words again. In the quiet stillness, Han sat with a calm resolve, his hand resting on his lap as he glanced at his phone and reassured himself that, after ignoring 20 calls without consequence, it would be safe to let a few more go unanswered. Han clutched his phone with a furrowed brow, troubled by the persistent confusion and concern over why someone would be so fixated on him. Late at night beneath the dim glow of dashboard lights, Sungtae drove with unwavering focus, his serious tone revealing to Han that he believed he finally understood the reason behind Yun Wanyang's relentless fixation. Han stood alert and worried as Sungtae, exuding a smug confidence, lit his cigarette and revealed that when Han and Jinte set fire to the building, some incriminating CCTV footage had survived. Inside the shadowed interior of a parked car, tension simmered as Han anxiously inquired about the missing CCTV footage, and Sungtae, composed and assured, revealed that he already had it in his possession. Sungtae lingered in thoughtful silence, the ember of his cigarette flickering as he revealed with quiet gravity that someone had survived that fateful day. In the heart of a raging inferno, a burning altar cast wild shadows as Jinte appeared amid the flames, rescuing a child meant for sacrifice and igniting a surge of hope in the oppressive darkness. Amidst a haze of glowing embers, a boy stood battered and silent, his gaze heavy with the weight of revelation as he somberly revealed that the child was none other than Yun Wanyang. Sungtae drove through the night, his calm yet serious tone hinting at intrigue as he asked if Han truly wished to uncover the secrets of that fateful day. Han sat with his gaze lowered and a resolute air, firmly insisting that he didn't want to see whatever was before him. On a rain-soaked urban street where neon signs flickered through the gloom, tension hung in the air as Sungtae faced the undeniable truth that Han had truly chosen to run away. In the dim light of a somber afternoon, Han, weighed down by inner conflict, turned his back on a wilted flower as he reflected on how he had fled from pain, knowing deep inside that immortal would never truly disappear for something so small. Now, a close-up revealed Han's face set in partial shadow as he admitted the truth of his past actions, yet with newfound resolve, he insisted he would not run away this time. Rain pattered softly as Han, ever considerate, opened the white car door outside the office and gently suggested that if his companion felt tired, they should come to his place tonight, promising to share his umbrella. On a quiet, rain-soaked street, Han stood beneath Sungtae's shared umbrella, calmly explaining that he preferred the comfort of the office, mentioning Yun Hyup's presence there and checking if Sungtae remembered the name. Han pressed Sungtae about the employee who worked with him, insisting that he must have noticed the man at the orphanage. In the gray hush of falling rain, Han stood beneath the sheltering umbrella with Sungtae. Sungtae explained that he had left the orphanage at 15, suggesting the boy Han mentioned must have arrived after his departure. Under a gray, rain-soaked sky, Han and Sungtae stood close beneath a single umbrella, the somber hush between them broken as Han wondered aloud if they were acquainted, prompting Sungtae to quietly insist he did not know the other man. As Sungtae watched Han leave down the dimly lit corridor, Han voiced steady as he reminded Sungtae to remember his warning and wished him well. Han lingered in the corridor, while he quietly wondered if Sungtae and Yun Hyup truly had no connection, recalling how Sungtae's disapproving looks once led him to believe otherwise. As Han was checking his phone, Director Yoon appeared behind him. Suddenly, a startled Han glanced over his shoulder with wide eyes, clutching his phone as he demanded to know what had just happened. Director Yoon urgently demanded to know why Han had ignored his calls. Touching his phone with a tense smile beneath the swirling darkness, he nervously explained that he had been occupied, admitted to spotting the other in the parking lot and confessed with hesitant pride that he had found Hyunkyung first. In a dimly lit room thick with tension, confronted Director Yoon, his voice sharp as he accused Sungtae of siding with the enemy and demanded to know if secrets had already been spilled. In a tense, shadowed alleyway, Han found himself anxiously trapped against the cold wall as Director Yoon confronted him with a pointed question, prompting Han to stammer back in uncertain confusion. Director Yoon stood partially shadowed, his somber gaze cast downward as resignation weighed heavily on his features. Then, tension mounting, he squeezed his eyes shut and braced himself, silently dreading the blow he was certain would come. But suddenly Director Yoon drew Han into a close, protective embrace, filling the quiet with a tender sense of safety and reassurance. Director Yoon leaned in close to Han, his voice low and filled with concern as he urged him to answer his phone promptly and confessed how much his silence had made him worry. Han stood in stunned silence as Director Yoon pulled him into a tight embrace, prompting Han to ask in disbelief if the director had truly been worried about him.